Hello, welcome to Complete Chiropractic Healthcare on the website of Dr. Greg Arnold, pitchingdoc.com. Today we're going to be discussing the baseball book called The Arm, which came out last year in 2015. Today's September 8th, 2016. If you look below the date, it'll take you to a PDF, which is usually easier to read. So this book has become one of the most popular books in quite a while, and I've had numerous requests on my opinion of the book, so I'm putting together this multi-part review. So today we're going to be discussing the first two chapters. So here's the book. If you click on the link, it'll take you to Amazon.com where you can see a book and get it if you want. So chapter 1 follows a pitcher who used to be in the major leagues named Todd Coffey. Click on the link, it'll take you to his statistics. Here he is right here. And he's currently undergoing his second Tommy John surgery in the book. He's at the age of 31. His first one was done when he was 19. So the chapter 1 goes through the surgery itself, of which Coffey's took 4 hours, and apparently Tommy John's surgery has saved nearly 1,000 professional players' careers in 40 years, since Dr. Frank Jobe performed the first one on Tommy John. And the interesting statistic was Dr. Jobe himself initially predicted a 1% chance of success. So it talks about the procedure by Dr. Neil Elatrash and getting the tendon, getting into the elbow, and all those things. So a really good quote is by Stan Conti, who was a Dodgers trainer at the time, who talks about the complexity of the surgery and the rehab and getting back in there. So he talks about that Tommy John surgery, the process of the rehab, is not easy. There are complications, there are issues, there are a ton of decisions to be made in the emergency room, and the best part of the quote is, it's like we're walking up to the tee and the hole is 500 yards away. The surgery itself is the tee shot, and he hopes nobody shanks it. So Tommy John surgery itself has an 80% success rate, and you talk to a lot of orthopedic surgeons, and they believe that's not high enough in terms of getting major league pitchers back to the majors. So there's still a lot of work left to do with the surgery and the rehab, and even the mechanics, which is a whole other story. So chapter 2 is much more detailed, and it takes a little bit more review and discussion. So the 80% success rate has lulled baseball into a false sense of security, and that they think they have the problem solved. But what's happening is now Tommy John surgery is being done more and more in younger pitchers, and the rates of surgeries in high school players has really skyrocketed. And Jeff Passan gives what I think is one of the biggest contributors to it is the single sport specialization. He says over the last 2 decades, baseball's youth apparatus has been filched and privatized. The single sport specialization craze has transformed the game. And I see players as young as 9 years old playing 40, 50 games a year and not playing anything else, which to me is a tremendous disservice to the young athlete. And the fault is laid mostly at the feet of the travel coaches, who are pressuring parents and kids to play fall ball and not really play anything else. So he then goes into giving a list of Major League Baseball players who have been hurt, including Strasburg, Harvey, Fernandez, Darvish, and then lists 10 high school and college prospects who had to undergo the surgery. Now, all of these injuries and the rise of surgeries in the young baseball players has led the American Sports Medicine Institute to release a position statement in 2013, and then also a Tommy John surgery position statement in 2015. And my favorite statement from the 2013 position paper is no competitive baseball pitching for at least 4 months a year. That means you play from January through August or February through September, and that's it. And I honestly can't think of many players who do that, which is a real shame. And then in the 2015 statement, they cite year-round baseball, pitching on multiple teams, use of radar guns. So if you go back to the internet, you click on those links. Here's the 2013 statement. Here is the 2015 Tommy John statement. So you can find them online and read them if you want. So chapter 2 has one very good strength, but also 2 significant weaknesses that I needed to highlight. The biggest strength of the chapter is the research that Passan uses. He uses research out of the American Journal of Sports Medicine from 2008 about curveballs, also from 2011 about innings pitched and pitching while tired. If you click on these links, it'll take you to these studies right here, and also right here. Now, the 2008 study on curveballs is very important because it cited that if you use the same mechanics as your fastball, your risk of injury from throwing curveballs is negligible compared to the fastball. And I actually took time to do a newsletter on this over the years, but I just recently did one in 2016, which you can read if you just click on the link right here. So the first weakness is from page 29 when he discusses a 10-year-old prodigy and his pitching mechanics. And in the book he talks about Harley's study. Harley's motion was a study in biomechanical beauty, his legs driving efficiently, his hips swiveling at just the right time. But this is the problem. His non-throwing arm tugging and pulling down through his torso. And this is also the most commonly taught concept with the glove still, and I was taught it and I used to teach it up until about 10 years ago, is tucking the glove. And it's still taught, and in my mind, it's the most incorrectly taught pitching mechanic today is to tuck the glove. And it's really ruining a lot of kids and causing them to have a lot of problems. The pitching glove does not tuck during the pitching motion. And I've written a newsletter on it, and again, if you click on the link here on the original webpage, it'll take you to this newsletter that I wrote back in 2015, The Myth of Tucking the Glove. So take your time, go through the newsletter, and you'll see that I use video to disprove that the glove does not tuck. And the second weakness and the final point for today's newsletter is about Mark Prior. Now, Mark Prior, when he was with the Cubs in the early 2000s, was touted as having nearly perfect pitching mechanics. And in the book, he talks about Prior's delivery looked symmetrical, but then he winds up saying he threw his last pitch when he was 25. And then he asks 4 different questions. Was it his delivery, too much throwing as a kid, bad genes, unnecessarily high pitch counts, a combination, or was it something else that no one can name? And I truly believe that it was something else, but it was something that was in the news that just people didn't pay attention to because they didn't think it was necessary. But to me, it was the reason why he injured his arm. And he had an Achilles injury. I was in Chicago at the time in chiropractic school, and I knew other doctors who were dealing with Mark Prior, and his Achilles injury came before his shoulder problem. And in 2006, Baseball Prospectus published an article on this, and you click on the link, it'll take you to it right here. And pretty much what they say in the article is reliable sources now tell us that the reliable sources that tipped them to Prior's Achilles problem now tell us that he has shoulder problems. So again, the Achilles problem became before the shoulder problem. So when he had no leg issues, his mechanics weren't causing any problems. He had no arm issues. But once he had the Achilles problem, it changed how he pitched and then caused him to have the issue. Now here's my final disclosure. I am a big fan of Tom House. Mark Prior was Tom House's prize pitching prospect. So I admit I do have a little bit of bias here, but it doesn't mean that what I'm saying isn't the truth. So in my opinion, Tom House has it correct over everybody else who tries to teach pitching mechanics. And that's what happened. Prior had the Achilles problem first, and that caused him to alter his mechanics, and then he had the shoulder issues. So there's my full disclosure about me being a fan of Tom House and, coming to his defense a little bit. So that's it for now. We're going to get back. We'll do part 2 probably in 2 weeks. If you have any questions, please email me, call me, go to my website, pitchingdoc.com, and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.